This morning, though, right here in talkSPORT, we're talking about Everton, the latest club to be needing a manager. Ancelotti's flown the coop. He's off to Madrid. Palace, Simon's beloved Palace, still looking for a manager. Nuno Espirito Santo being tipped to be heading there. Tottenham want a manager. Wolves want a manager. And Celtic failed to get Eddie Howe, so they still want a manager. Simon, let me ask you this, and this will probably spark a debate, but that's what we're all about. Is Everton the most attractive vacant managerial job on the go?
I think it's certainly one of, if not the. I think probably Tottenham, if Tottenham are focused, if Tottenham are ambitious enough to try and regrasp the nettle that they've let go in terms of the opportunities that they've had over the last couple of years. Everton, of course, if Mashiri's ambition remains the same, if he remains undaunted and is prepared to get somebody in that's going to really grasp hold of the opportunity, then Everton is a great opportunity. But I would probably put Everton and Spurs in similar brackets. Spurs, if I'm looking at the best opportunities, put aside the Daniel Levy factor, because he isn't that bloody bad, right? Because other people, there'll be a queue of people that want to go and work for him, so he isn't that bad.
It's still a significant factor.
Well, listen, all chairmen have their own foibles and nuances, and there's no perfect chairman. You know, you look at the Liverpool fans, there's been lots of angst about John Henry's decisions over the years. Klopp has carried him across the line, but it's still, controversy about some of the things that Henry's tried to do over the years with Liverpool, and it's just that Klopp's been successful.
Yeah.
So with all chairmen and owners, you'll have a challenge. In this instance, I think Tottenham, with the rebuilding of the stadium or the building of this wonderful stadium, they've got to have a team fit for purpose. They've got to. So that means there might be a bigger call to action on Tottenham than there is in Everton currently.
Are you going to get backing as Spurs manager? Would you get the backing you want from Levy?
Well, the two things go hand in hand. If you've got to have a team to be fitting of the stadium that you've built, then you've got to have backing. So the two things will go hand in hand. And how Daniel orchestrates that backing, whether he gets Joe Lewis to put some more money in, whether they go and borrow some money to be able to finance the acquisition of players, or whether they sell Harry Kane, all roads will lead to some sort of pseudo-Damascus, which is that they've got to be more ambitious because they've built themselves into a situation where they have got the world's best stadium and they need to have a team to embrace it. So that puts a slight pinch on Daniel. So I probably think, given the comparative achievements of the clubs over the last 5 years, Spurs is probably the most enthralling job.
And of course, what we can't forget is, and Luke's mentioning Nuno to Palace, we'll get onto that in a second. Jack, a big Evertonian. Guys, you're forgetting about Frank. He says Frank Lampard very much in the mix, surely for one of those jobs. As an Evertonian, he would want him.
Frank should be in the conversations, but it goes hand in hand with the conversation we had last week about where Frank really is in his managerial career. Frank, in my belief, will be a very successful manager, and the next appointment that he takes will be key to that. Going into an Everton at this stage in their development might be an ask for Frank, because whilst it looks like a very nice name and a very good association, you've still got to look at the fact that Frank isn't an established Premier League manager. In order to get Everton where they want to go, you need someone that really does know what they're doing and not someone that's going to learn on your time. Now, if Everton want to give Frank 5 years and give him a significant amount of backing and let him do it, then maybe during that period of time, Frank will give them what they want. But I think Everton want to get out of the blocks quickly. Now, Frank Lampard being indexed to these jobs is good for Frank Lampard. I can see Frank landing at a Crystal Palace more than I can see Frank Lampard landing at an Everton. But even that, as I said last week, I qualified that by saying if I had a choice at Crystal Palace between Sean Dyche and Frank Lampard, I would probably go Sean Dyche. Now, if you then put a head-to-head, if that's what we want to do, with Frank Lampard and Nuno Espirito Santo for Crystal Palace, there it becomes a little bit more of a conundrum, because whilst he's done a great job at Wolves, and he's taken them out of the Championship after a long period of time of them finding their feet again after success with Mick McCarthy in the past, and now he's been relatively successful at Wolves, he isn't an established Premier League manager. So I can't have that argument on both hands. He's a decent Premier League manager that's done slightly more than Frank has with a different club. Right. So I'd be torn if I compare. But I do think Espirito Santo going to Palace is a good appointment if that indeed happens. I think it's an ambitious one. I think from the Palace management side of things, that will be quite a coup.
That is developing as we speak, because
Palace will want to be where Wolves are
this morning.
Well, Palace will want to be where Wolves were a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And so by doing that, they're going to have to spend money. So that means that Espirito Santo, if he's going to Palace, has been given some assurances of money, I suspect.
If Nuno was talking about going to Palace and Palace are talking to him, would Everton turn his head?
Undeniably. Yeah, of course it is. Everton's a bigger club. Everton's a bigger club. I mean, there's no dispute in that. And of course, I'm dyed-in-the-wool Palace, but it's unarguable that Everton are a bigger club. And they're going to build a new stadium. They've got a bigger livery, a bigger set of achievements. They're a bigger football club.
Yeah. So many people joining the debate this morning. I mean, it really has got. But when have we been?
Players go to Everton. When Palace, I sold Andy Johnson to Everton.
Yeah.
I sold Yannick Bolasie to Everton. With respect.
When have we been in a situation like this? When clubs like Everton, Palace, Tottenham, Wolves, and Celtic all after managers at the same time. 08717 223344. Steve, you've been waiting patiently. I think you're up in Carlisle, but you're a big Evertonian. What do you want to say, mate? Good morning. Good morning, Steve.
Hello.
Hello, Steve. Yes, what do you want to say? You are through to Simon and myself on talkSPORT.
Hiya, Jim.
Hello, mate. What's in your mind with Ancelotti going?
Hello, yeah. I'm all for David Moyes.
Right, you would want to see Moyes back.
Yeah, I think he's got unfinished business like at Everton. I think he's proved, since he's left, he's had a few of bad jobs and that, but he's done really well at West Ham.
Okay, Steve. Yeah, I think that's been backed by quite a number of Evertonians, including Andy, who's waiting as well. Andy, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, mate. What do you think? Moyes back?
I want Moyes back, but just on Ancelotti, I'm not at all sad to see him go. I totally agree with Simon. He dropped Michael Keane when he was in the prime of his career. He came into the season with one striker really, Calvert-Lewin. So if Calvert-Lewin was fit, we didn't have another striker. He left the bench half full when he could have put some youngsters on. So when you're losing to a fairly low-level side at home, you bring on Fabian Delph. So some very strange decisions. But yeah, I'm a bit of a romantic and I would like Moyes back. But my question for Simon Jordan is, could Moyes attract the big names in terms of the transfer market that Mashiri would want? No, that's my only worry about that.
Well, I mean, anything can attract big names if you're prepared to pay them. I mean, I think that with Everton fans, I mean, I have to be quite blunt. At the end of David's time at Everton, a lot of Everton fans wanted him out and were unhappy. And there's been a lot of changes at Everton. The Everton fans were unhappy with Martinez, and now people are looking back with that with fond memories. And they were unhappy with Koeman at times, and look back at that with fond memories. Everton fans sometimes sort of run with a hair and hump with a hands. If I was David, with the best will in the world, I would be staying at West Ham rather than going to Everton, because I've had my time at Everton.
Okay.
And going back to Everton and going back to that particular environment, I think would be a slightly sideways move for David with West Ham.
Okay, but Andy, you're sticking with Moyes, right?
I think he's got unfinished business, and I think he loves the club, yeah.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods. Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.